Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues from the pharmaceutical industry. I'm pleased to welcome you to this information event of the AMVS, the Austrian Medicines Verification Systems Limited, for the members of the pharmaceutical industry. My name is Wolfgang Andiel. I'm Deputy Chair of the AMVO, the Austrian Medicines Verification Organization, and I will go with you through today's program. So I also be pleased to welcome our speakers. Christoph Lendl is already here, and we will then also welcome Peter Berger-Bierczek and Daniel Dangl, all from the AMVS. I think we have an interesting afternoon for you today with very recent information about the implementation of the Falsified Medicines Directive in Austria, especially about the system utilization, especially about the status of the start phase of the operations in which we are currently in Austria. For housekeeping, you have the ability to place all your questions into the dedicated chat. We will see them here and we will answer all of them right after the different sessions we have. You know that the go-live of the Austrian Medicines Verification System, the go-live of the data storage was already in June 2018, while the regulation itself came into force in beginning of February 2019, and we decided to start with a stabilization phase to get all processes right. And 1 year later, on the 9th of February of 2020, we decided to extend this phase, but now it's already the start phase of the live operations. So there are more requirements than also for all system participants. So before we begin, let me give you a few messages from the AMVO board in Austria. So I think it's very important to use these still running start phase operations to get all the routine processes right into place for the go live, which will come probably quite soon. Please check all the alarms you have and report them also to the AMVS. Best practice would be here the regular communications with the AMVS in all these cases, and please understand the AMVS as a service provider. It can and it wants to support you in all these processes, in all these alert cases you might have in your with your product. So with that, I would like to hand over to Christoph Lendl. He is the Managing Director of the AMVS, and he will start with his presentation now.
Thank you so much, Wolfgang. Welcome to everyone, also from us at AMVS. We're very happy to have you with us this afternoon, and we were looking forward to guide you through the program today. I'll quickly introduce you to the agenda. So I will briefly talk about the company and our organization internally. I'll discuss the status contract of the contracts with you. We have contracts with all the pharmaceutical companies in Austria, basically. And we're also going to talk about the people who are on the other side of the chain, so of the end-to-end control, so the contracts we have with pharmacies, with doctors, and so forth in Austria. Daniel will then come in and give you an update and a summary around coding, frequently asked questions around coding. Peter from my team will talk about where we are in terms of alert, where we are in terms of getting the system fully ignited. I'll briefly explain to you what the start phase operations means in Austria, what's the meaning there, how is that going to look going forward. We will look about the newest developments there, and we'll also give you a bit of an outlook on the time after the start phase. All right, so let's get into things. AMVS organization. As mentioned by Wolfgang before, AMVO is basically the stakeholder organization we have here in Austria. We have members of Pharmix, so of the innovative pharmaceutical industry there. We have Generika Verband, which is treating the generics organization. We have the Chamber of Pharmacists included in AMVO. We have the Chamber of Doctors, and we also have the Wholesalers Union, Sofago, included in the MVO. They're basically heading up AMVS, which is the company I'm running, together with my team. We have 8 people in total, 7 FTEs, trying to support the system here in Austria and making it come to full life still this year, if possible. All right, talking about contractual relationships, as mentioned before, we have around 260 companies who are members who have a declaration of accession with AMVS. 261. In Austria, a bit the specialty, I guess, is that we're using the terms responsible pharmaceutical company. So we're not necessarily reflecting the MEHs. So there are quite likely more MEHs which are registered in the system. However, we are always setting up our contracts with the local subsidiaries wherever that is possible. Basically, whoever goes to the register of pharmacies in Austria, of pharmaceutical products in Austria, becomes a partner of AMVS. Quickly talking about the operational fees, so how is the structure of the Austrian system? How is that financed? As you know, it's the FMD regulation basically has tasked the pharmaceutical industry to set up the system and to take care of the running costs of the system, including the operations. And in Austria, we have basically a model which is split into 2 parts. First part is a fixed turnover, starting with a very low fee for companies who do little revenue in Austria, going up to a higher fee for the really big ones, obviously. Base of all these calculations is the revenue which is achieved with the medicinal products which are obligated to be serialized in Austria. The fixed fee is always charged in the beginning of the year. So already in December of this year, we will basically ask you to provide us with a self-assessment of your turnover, which will be the base of our invoices coming to you in beginning of January 2021. Going to the second part, as mentioned before, there are 2 different types of invoices you're seeing from us. First, the fixed fee before, and now we're talking about what we call the variable fee. So basically, depending on the use of the system, we are creating variable volume invoices. There has been a digressive setup of that structure, decided in the beginning of the whole project, and excessively, we are basically starting at 0.009 euros per serial number for the first 50,000 serial numbers which go to the system, going up to the ones of you who are loading a lot to the system. Everything which is above 2 million serial numbers is then being charged with 0.004. We do these calculations for every quarter. First invoice has already come your way in the beginning of April, and in the coming weeks we will probably start with issuing invoices for the second quarter. Okay, what you see here is again just looking at the system. So what we can see is that out of our 261 companies mentioned before, 213 have already uploaded data to the system this year. 48 have not been active yet, so no new serial numbers loaded to the system. These are predominantly companies which are still in registration but have already registered with us, or there are smaller companies which only use the system or upload data to the system once or twice a year. I also said that I would talk about the end users and the contractual relationships we have there. As you see on the slide, we have around 2,400 end user agreements, split between the 4 channels which are active in dispensing medicine in the Austrian system. Biggest portion is the public pharmacies for sure, with around 1,400. We have dispensing doctors here in Austria, a bit of specialty in some of the countries in Europe. So some of our doctors are allowed to dispense medicine as well. We have about 800 of them in the more rural areas in Austria. We obviously have arrangements with all hospitals in Austria and also wholesalers who, as you know, have the obligations from FMD as well. In certain cases, are also connected to the system.
So, thank you, Christoph. We have still not any questions in the chat yet, so that let me remind you that you can post your questions at any time in the chat, and we'll go through it after each presentation. So for this case, of course, I would like to ask you one question in regard of the industry fees for the implementation of the directive. So how do you think will these fees develop over time?
Yeah, so this is something that we're evaluating quite thoroughly and time again. So at the moment, AMVS is still in a stage where we basically have a lot of initial investment which we have to pay back. We have been quite successful with that, and we are ahead of the business plan. Nevertheless, at this stage, I do not foresee a change of invoicing or fees for the next year. We will keep a close look at that, and we are in constant discussion with MVO when is the right time to change the fees, and we will certainly keep you updated there.
Okay, so thank you for that. With that, I would like to hand over to Daniel Dangl. He is the Customer Relationship Manager of the AMVS, and he will give some recent information about the coding of the products uploaded into the system. So, Daniel, please.
Thank you very much. Also, welcome from my side. Maybe some of you have already been able to exchange emails with me. Now you have the chance to see me live on screen. This is quite a new situation for us. We have done quite a number of live events with live audience so far. This is the first time that we do something like this via the internet. Also the very first time that we do something like this in English. So if we sometimes have to search a little bit for words, please be patient with us. I want to go through with you now some questions regarding coding. Very often we get more or less the same couple of questions regarding coding in Austria, and I want to keep you informed on the most frequently asked questions. We have a very good document regarding coding that was created together with all our stakeholders, means all of the associations that Christoph mentioned before, as well as some other companies involved in coding like GS1. This document already has 2 revisions, so we are currently in version 3. And the last revision was at beginning last year in March 2019. You can download these documents via the links provided here in German and in English. We're thinking about publishing a new version this year, not because there might be some changes in the content, but the last version still talks of FMD like something that will happen in the future, and as we all know, it's reality now, and that's why we're thinking about just amending the language to the present situations. One of the most questions currently asked is, what about the 1D barcode? Do we still need it? Do some of the end users still need it? So we can answer this quite clearly with no. All functions that the 1D barcode so far, or the end users so far were able to do with the 1D barcode can now be done with the 2D data matrix code. So whenever you do a package redesign, you can remove the 1D code, gives you more space on the pack. Or when you create a new product, you bring on the market a new product, there is no obligation to put a 1D barcode on this new product. However, there is no obligation to remove it. You can keep it if you like. But according to our information, there are still some pharmacists that quite have sentimentalic feelings for the 1D barcode, and if you want to give them the opportunity to change to the D barcode, then this would be a good opportunity to remove the 1D code. Another question that comes quite often is which product code to use. Which product code to use in Austria? Is there the possibility to use the GTIN for all products, or is there the obligation to use NTIN? The position of our stakeholders is quite clear in this paper. Whenever you bring on the market a single market product, means a product that has a dedicated package only for Austria, then you have to use the NTIN. The Austrian NTIN always starts with 090, 4 times the 8, and then you have the PZN, 6 digits, and the check ticket that is calculated by all 13 figures before, and so you come to the 14 digits of the NTIN. When you bring on the market a multi-market product, means a package that has at least 2 countries on the cover, then you have 2 possibilities. You can either use a GTIN, or you can define one NTIN of one of those countries affected as a GTIN. Most general example, or most used example, is a package between Austria and Germany. There you have the possibility to use the German NTIN as a product code. Then you don't have any other country-specific number in this 2D barcode, and you don't need a 5th element. So a shared pack, Austria-Germany, would work quite well with this in this way. If you use a GTIN for Austria-Germany, then you will have to put the German PZN into the 2D barcode, not the Austrian PZN, because that's a law in Germany that the PZN has to be part of the product, of the barcode. We will come to the Austrian PZN within the next 2 slides again. Just one comment on upload of multi-market packs. According to the delegated regulation, multi-market packs, or the batches of multi-market products, have to be uploaded in every country where these multi-market packs are brought into the market. Means if you have 2 countries on your pack, you have to upload it in both systems, and so on for more countries. You don't have to upload it, or you should not upload it into other countries. We have some examples in the system where the batches were uploaded more or less all over Europe, just to be sure. Or we have, and the last sentence is related to this, we have examples of products that come into Austria quite regularly via the Import Act, means for a named patient process. Then also some companies upload these batches into the Austrian system. This is not necessary. Therefore, we have the intermarket functionality of the system. So the upload is really only required for packs that have to be brought, that will be brought on the market. Coming back to the Austrian PZN, as you might know, we have an Austrian PZN that is different from the German PZN. So whenever you bring a product into the market in Austria, you have to apply for an Austrian PZN at FCEO, that's the organization that issues the Austrian PZNs. The Austrian PZN has in total 7 digits. 6 digits is the PZN itself, and the seventh digit is calculated of the 6 digits before. That's why the check ticket at the end is in most cases different for the PZN than for the NTIN. Some companies use the same check ticket, especially for the PZN, for the Pharmazentralnummer, then it can cause problems because this is not the correct one. So for all products you upload into the Austrian system, you need to apply for a PZN, regardless if it's single or multi-market pack, and you have to upload this PZN into the system as a national code or NHRN code into the system. In the single markets, as I said, it's also part of the NTIN. For multi-market, it's only stored in the system, so it's also available for the products in the system, but not in the data matrix code. The next topic I often have to speak about is the character set. Use of special characters, use of certain letters. As you know, Austria, Germany, and some other southern and also Eastern European countries have a different keyboard than like northern countries like UK, Scandinavian countries, or other big countries. And these keyboards Y and Z are on different positions. A scanner works like a keyboard, and if the scanner is configured for an English keyboard, what is often the standard setup of a scanner, then these letters are exchanged. You have a switch of these letters, so whenever these letters occur in a serial number or in a batch ID, then, and the scanner is wrong configured, then we get an alert, because then something is wrong. The data cannot be found in the system. Same for special characters that occur in some batch IDs, like a slash, like underscore, like a minus. These special characters also occur on different keyboards, on different keys on different keyboards, and they also have some other issues with those special characters we will see on one of the next slides. So we would really ask you, this is part of our coding rules, to not use these characters, Y and Z, and special characters within your data matrix codes. And also, this is the last point, also only use of capital letters, or at least not combine capitals and small letters in one code. This is not only mentioned in the coding rules of Small Austria. You can also find this in the Q&As of the EU Commission. There is one copy-paste error on this slide. The last version was published in March 2020. We can't look in the future, but I guess it will still be there in September this year. The answer on this question is quite the same as it's in the Austrian coding rules. Also, the EU Commission asks you kindly not to use special characters and not to use Y and Z, and you find some other recommendations here. And quite recently, the Austrian authority, the BASG, in English, Austrian Federal Office for Safety and Healthcare, published a letter to industry. You find this letter on the download section of the streaming website in original German and a translation performed by us. And the Austrian authority also addresses some issues in this letter that we will go throughout the whole presentation today. The first thing that comes now is again the ask for not using those special characters, not using Y and Z, like it is set out in the Q&A document of the EU Commission. So you can see this issue is well known throughout all over Europe. A lot of companies have already changed the serial number system. They already have confirmed that future batches will not contain these letters. And for those companies that still are using them, we would also kindly ask you, in the sense of the stakeholder model, we would all work together in reducing alerts. We will have some slides later on alerts, and you will see that scanner configuration is quite an issue in Austria. Coming back to the special character, I just want to show you one example how the usage of a special character in the batch ID affects the scanner and software queries that we find in the system. So let's talk about the batch ID A33/01. What we find in the system is, a part of course the correct one, is that we will see the minus instead of the slash. That comes is caused through the fact that slash and minus exchange position in some of the keyboards through Europe. We find the 7 instead of the slash. This is caused due to the fact that 7 and slash are on the same key on German and Austrian keyboards. And sometimes the slash is interpreted as kind of a separator, and then you would find only A33 in the system. So all of these 3 issues cause an alert. Most cases it's the alert, the patch number is different than the patch number in the system. We are monitoring all these alerts. You will see this in a couple of minutes. We are contacting end users. We are trying to do our best to get all the scanners configured. However, this is not something that is done once and then it's finished forever. Scanners sometimes need to be reconfigured due to software updates. Sometimes end user buys a new scanner, puts it into the USB, it gets configured automatically, English, and then again we have all those issues that just were mentioned. This was the last slide so far from my side regarding coding. Now I'm open for some questions.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, indeed, we have already received several questions to your presentation. First, thank you for some clarifications and some good information. So I would like to start with the first question, which is, if we have a G-tin product, for example, for the UK, which is also being sold in Austria, should that G-tin be uploaded to the AMVS? It will not have an Austrian national code, as for Austria it would be a foreign pack.
So I guess this question relates to an import, means an English product that is requested by a doctor for a certain patient, and then of course it needs not to be uploaded because this is just a UK pack, UK language. There is no Austrian design on this pack, so it's correctly uploaded in the UK system, and via the intermarket functionality, this pack can be decommissioned from an Austrian end user in the UK system.
And in case it would be regularly sold in Austria, therefore it has a marketing authorization for Austria, then it would be a multi-market pack,
then
which is
you
then
would
to be uploaded in both.
Yeah, and then you would have to apply for a PZN because, and I think you will have a PZN for that because otherwise you won't be able to register it for a pharmacy system. A pharmacist cannot order it, and so you will not be very happy because no one will sell it. So whenever it's regularly sold as an Austrian product with an Austrian design on the pack, combined with whichever country, then of course you need a PZN and you have to upload this into the system.
Okay, so second question is in regards of the YZ issue. So if the industry follows the counsel from AMVS and also from AMVS and avoids all these special characters and the YZ, and avoid mixing big and small characters for serial numbers and batch ID, isn't there a risk with randomization of serial number?
No. The serial number can have 20 characters. You can use 10 numbers from 1 to 9 and 0. You still have a lot of letters left. No, I don't think that there will be any issue.
Okay. Then a question in regards to older PZNs with fewer than 7 digits. Are they filled in with zeros at the beginning?
I guess this would be maybe old PZNs, because PZNs is kind of, they are issued one by one, so they started a lot of years ago with 0 or with 1. So yes, I guess these are old ones, and I guess they are all issued with zeros before. Now, sometimes in Excel, as you know, the zeros at the beginning can get lost. But all these PZNs, for example, in the pharmacy register, they all have 7 digits, and then digits, and at the beginning you have 1, 2,
The leading zeros need to be applied.
Yes.
So we can say, like it is in the Warenverzeichnis in the pharma register.
Yeah, they
this
all
is the
have
correct-
zeros at the beginning.
Okay. Okay.
But if this question relates to a specific product, you can send us an email and we can have a look at it. But I guess it will be one of those products that is quite old, because currently we have PZNs that start with 5, 5.1, 5.0. So this, yeah.
Okay. The next question is, we are launching multi-market pack for Austria, Belgium and Netherlands. What coding would be the best in this case? And do we need to do the upload to Austrian repository only when we start to sell the product in Austria with this multi-market pack? Because the shipments to Netherlands may start earlier than for Austria.
Yeah, let's go to the second question before. Normally, the decision is a product brought in the market or in one market or in several markets. It's done for the product and not for a certain batch. So I would say you have to upload the batches to all systems, if it's also Austria on the pack. What the best way is difficult to answer now, because we don't know in detail the coding requirements of these other countries, but from our experience, I would say that these products that are shared with countries like, what was it, Belgium, Netherlands?
Yeah, in Austria.
In most cases, the companies use it.
But we could say, once the batch is produced and serialized, the best thing is to upload the data, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And cheat-in usage would be the most common solution for that.
Yes, with those countries.
Okay, the next questions, I think we will come to this point also within the next presentations, but let me put it on the table already right now. Mm-hmm. Please advise what measures the AMVS and or the Austrian National Competent Authority is taking to educate end users in how to correctly configure their equipment. The documents you reference regarding character usage are guidance only, not rules or law, and responsibility lies with the end user to ensure that their equipment is configured correctly. So it's overlapping. Last
yes,
and next
we all know these arguments and they are absolutely correct, but we will come to that later. We will come to the point where to the actions we are taking almost every week on scanner configurations, but still, all these alerts go through the EU hub to the OBP and have to be analyzed there. So if you want to save workload, then you will, then it would be a good idea to remove these characters.
We're fully aligned. This is not a requirement, it's just a request. And our firm belief is that as simple as we can keep it, it's really helpful for the overall system. It helps on all ends.
Good. Two further questions. What about combined packs UK and Austria and the Brexit? Presume the medical product is already serialized and in the warehouses.
Christoph.
Yeah, this one we cannot answer at this stage. The Brexit solution is still very fluid, very much in development on European level. I know that my colleagues from Secomed and also from EMVO are heavily working on finding a solution. I don't have a final answer on that one yet. No. Please reach out to us. We'll obviously keep you informed as soon as we know how this thing is going to continue. But at the moment, we don't have a solution for you here.
Okay, thank you. Another question in regard of the scanner alerts. If an in-market scanner is causing an error which keeps generating alerts, is there a way for this to be resolved so that we, the MAH, don't keep getting the alerts? If we, the MAH, have communicated for a batch that the alert is because of the scanner, can we stop receiving those alerts?
The way the system is established, you will not stop receiving them. Obviously, once you communicate to us that there is an issue with a scanner, we're reaching out to the end users and trying to get them corrected. which is very often successful. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. What the system will not allow us is to stop you from receiving the alerts.
Yes.
So there's a lot of thoughts about this scanner issue and what the MAH responsibility is in that. So I have an additional question. I think we have already answered that somehow, but let me put it on the table. So you mentioned that manufacturers are currently avoiding the attributes that cause the alert, such as Y and Z and /. What about the scanner configuration errors at the end user? Are you doing something about this?
Yes, we are doing a lot about this. You will see it later. We are also very successful in the moment. In a few minutes, Peter will show you alert statistics, and you will see that we are very successful. However, we will never get rid of all these alerts because there will always be new configurations, there will always be new scanners, and that's why, in the sense of the stakeholder model, in the sense of making us all together life easier, that's the way we are asking to avoid these letters as far as it is possible.
So this is one of the many measures you did as an AMVS to recommend not to use this. Okay, maybe from my side, a last question in regards of the master data. How can a company check whether these master data are correct in the system?
Yeah, the most common questions regarding master data, and I think that goes also in this direction, is the PZN, the national code, correct? So if you are OBP yourself, then you can look into your system, what you have stored for the national code. You can also communicate this to us and ask if there's the same information that we have. If you are maybe not directly working on the side of the OBP, and if you want to get this information maybe to instruct your OBP, then you can also come directly to us and we can send you the national codes stored in the system for your products, and we can do a check whether these products or the codes for these products are correctly uploaded or not.
Okay, thank you. So no further questions so far. So thank you very much for your presentation, and I'd like to hand over to Peter Berger-Bierczek. He will give us some insights into the statistics of the systems, failure analysis, alert analysis. So I'm looking forward to your presentation.
So, good afternoon as well from my side. Ladies and gentlemen, what can you expect within the next 15 minutes? Let's start in that way. Before we prepared this presentation, we tried to walk in the shoes of an MAH or onboarding partner to get a feeling in which figures you're interested in. So what we have done is we built up a statistics about the verifications and the dispenses in the Austrian system, as well on the alert rate. We go a little bit more in detail about the statistics, what are the current failures, what are the root causes of the failures. So we built a little bit of an alert management tool in Austria, where we have the possibility to assign root causes to alerts. Then, of course, they're very proud of what is the position of Austria within the AMVS ranking of the alert statistics. And later on, we will step a little bit into the detected problems, what we see now in our system from the MAHs and OBPs. So let's start with the first. Here you see the status of the productive AMVS system on end-user transactions and alerts. So let's define what alerts are we taking there and build up the figures at the presentation there. These are only alerts from end users in the national Austrian system. So this means there are not reflected alerts over the European hub, as well not the alerts of the onboarding partners. So there you can see we started in January with quite a volume of transaction of dispensers as well as verifications, and with an alert rate. This developed over the time to March. March, we all know what happened in the system, so this means this was COVID-19. So most of the patients outside try to get the most medication as they could get, because they thought they will not get medication from the MHs and onboarding partners due to COVID-19. But the industry reacted in this case really, really good. And so in April, then you can see they got in March all the medication what they need. And so there was no need that in April they will get additional medication. So the verifications and dispenses during April and May were a bit lower than in March. But in June, these are actual figures from Monday this week, we have a real good volume of deactivations as well on verifications. What you can see as well is that the alert rate, you see this on the top of the bar, this is 0.045% at the moment, what means in absolute figures we have around 500 alerts per day. So this is the overview. As I said before, I want to go now a little bit more in detail, and here we have the statistics. This statistics is on a weekly base, so you have for every week, and as I told you before, we have a little bit of an alert management where we can assign the root causes automatically to the alerts. And there you can see that when I start with the right bar at the bottom, you see there are a figure of 109 alerts, which are represented there in gray. These 109 alerts are alerts what's happened when the end user is doing a verification, and after the verification it does a dispense. So only needed for the system is one alert per pack. So this means this 109 alerts you can simply more or less delete out of the system because there's already an alert for the pack available. Then for the onboarding partner and MHs in this presentation, this is the real important thing. The green one, there is a figure about, my eyes are not so good anymore, 48 alerts. These are failures, what results out of wrongly uploaded batches, maybe wrongly printed expiry date on the packs, maybe missing serial number in uploaded batches, and so on. As you can see, we are in close communication with the onboarding partners and MAHs that this number decreases over the time more and more. So we are at the best stage at the moment. Then the next one, the 111, that is what Daniel talked a lot before. These are the scanner issues. So here you can see as well that due to the fact that we have a really close cooperation with the software suppliers and the end users, that this figure is going down as good as it can. So in comparison to the last week, we got a third less alerts due to scanner malfunctions. At the moment, we are at 111, but to be honest, I think these numbers will get much better during the next upcoming weeks. Then we have the pre-wholesaler alerts. So from my point of view, the pre-wholesaler alerts are the good alerts. So this means there is a wholesaler receives from the MH, from the manufacturer, the packs, and what he is doing, he simply get there and scan the packs. So he detects if the batch is already uploaded or not. And if the batch is not uploaded, he immediately calls the MH where he received the packs or the manufacturer and say, hey, you forget to upload the pack, please correct this as fast as it is possible. The good thing is that these packs or this batch is not distributed to the pharmacies or hospitals or dispensing doctors or wherever. So from my point of view, these are the good alerts. This shows of a good process. Then the next one is known multiple decommissionings. This is a result out in most of the cases, let's say about 95 to 99% of free sample. So this means the OEB or the wholesaler define the free sample. This is handed over to the hospital or to the dispensing doctor, and he tries to dispense this pack again when he hands over to the patient. And after this already in the status of free sample, of course, an alert will be raised. The next one is multiple decommissionings by the same end user. As you can see here, we are also on a real good way. So in most of the cases, this was by dispensing robots in the pharmacies or in the hospitals, where they had on stock, as an example, 10 packs, and any time when there was a pack dispensed, they sent the same serial number. So we are as well in close cooperation with all the manufacturers of these dispensing machines, and so, of course, this will go to zero quite really soon. And then we have the big leftover, that's 147. So these 147 are these alerts where we are not able to identify automatically the root cause. So when I have a look at this, and we've done this over the last weeks, and try to categorize in 2 big pots. So this means one pot is the where the end user processes have to be defined in a more better way. These are the double dispensers. And the other pot is technical issues, what we cannot clearly identify automatically. So to give you a feeling about this, the pots with the operational issues, with the procedural issues, is about 60%, and the technical issues is about 40%. We are in close cooperation as well, of course, with the end users, so we do as well presentations there, talking to them, and over the next upcoming 2 months, we have an initiative where we go to the end users, talk to the end users, call the end users if we're detecting these double dispensers and all these things, these operational issues, and try to educate them. Yes, and that is where we are really proud as Austrians. As you can see, we are on the right side, so this means we are on the top of the AMVS overall system. In the last, let's say 1 year, we were always under the top 5, so this means we have one of the smallest error rates here in Europe. And in most cases, not really reflected in this presentation or in this chart, we are number 2 or number 3. So we are on the best 3 of this AMVS overall system. Yes, then actions performed by AMVS, I hand over to Christoph.
Thank you so much. We have already received a few questions in that regard, so I'll quickly take you through the actions that we are performing. As you know, there is this issue with Indian PACs in the whole ecosystem. So conceptually, that means that there used to be a law in India ahead of the start of serialization in 2019, where they were already requested to put data metric codes on their PACs. And for a few of the bigger generic companies, that has been done quite extensively. Conceptually, these PACs are not in the repository and have been creating a lot of alerts in the system. However, back in December 2019, with a lot of effort from Peter here next to me, we were able to create an exception list for the Indian PACs. I can only thank all the companies who had that and who were really closely cooperating with us to get the right combinations on that list. And these PACs are not creating any issues anymore in the Austrian AMVS. Second thing that's coming this autumn is the expiry date matching. EMVO and the European, all the European NMVOs have come here to a conclusion that the checking as it is done today is probably a bit overdone. So going forward, as of this fall, the match will be limited to year and month. So still today, we're also checking the day, and that will be restricted to year and month only. Data upload is a topic we are seeing less and less. Again, kudos to the industry, but it's still there. We're in direct contact with the impacted companies quite a bit, and we will later on show a slide on what are the errors that are still happening. Scanner configuration, that's a question we have got plenty of already today. We have put here the things that have been done, are being done. We had a lot of information events with our end users here in Austria. We also created a one-pager where the problem is explained, which has been shared with all the end users. We're in direct contact. Just last week, we had a big discussion with one of the software suppliers, and we think that will draw the numbers down quite a bit as well. And one more thing that is coming again over the summer probably is a so-called reference code, which can basically be tested by the end users. Will be a code which includes, all sorts of crazy and difficult characters which the scanner usually has issues with. And it's something that basically an end user can test in the beginning of the day to see if his scanner is configured properly. Double commissionings is also something we're tackling quite a bit. Again, here it's mainly direct contact, which is useful. We also had a lot of information events, and also the curve is going in the right direction there. Last but not least, we're also looking at trying to make sure that all the end users are using the system properly. We had a lot of events on that as well, making sure everybody's aware of the system in the Austrian territory. We're directly contacting there if we see technical errors, and also the chambers of pharmacists / the chambers of doctors are supporting us here in making sure everybody gets activated.
Yeah, as Christoph showed us in the actions what we have taken, he mentioned the exception list for Indian packs, and here you can see what is the outcome of this exception list. As you can see, it's more or less stable over the time. This is since January until May, end of May. You can see that there are around 2,200 alerts per month, what can be, what are not raised because out of this exception list. So this means, as you've seen in the before presentation, you see that the alert rate is 0.045%. If we would not have implemented this exception list, we would be around 1.2%, something like that. Yes, notification in case of error messages. How, as a responsible pharmaceutical company / VPU, what we call it in German, get the notifications on the error messages? The thing is that the onboarding partner has to be registered on the EMVO web service. This means that's the only way you can receive the alert messages. We will not directly send you an email about alerts or whatever. This is all handled over the European hub. The RPC has to get in contact with the onboarding partner. This means the responsible pharmaceutical company get in contact with the onboarding partner receives the alert, and this is then forwarded to the responsible pharmaceutical company in Austria. Which alerts are sent to the onboarding partner? All alerts, of course, were started with AT, because this is the ISO identification of Austria.
If I quickly talk about the challenges that the industry sees, or that we're still seeing with the industry, and as you see on the slide before, our NCA, so our National Competent Authority, also shares our view here. And there are a couple of points that they have put special emphasis on. One of them is obviously that it's quite important that before anything goes to the market, that the data is already uploaded. So we really need to, or the industry really needs to make sure that data is in the database, completely in the database, before it reaches verifying and dispensing locations, which means pharmacies or doctors. Going with that, hand in hand with that, is the recommendation, again, recommendation by the NCA, that random checks should be performed to check if the data is uploaded correctly.
Yeah, as I said at the beginning of my part of the presentation, what are the current challenges of the industry? This means onboarding partner MAHs. The most what we have at the moment is a serial number not found. This has two main reasons. Some onboarding partners upload the serial number in partial patches. This means if there is a complete batch around 10,000 serial numbers in it, they split it up in 10 batches or 10 party batches of 1,000 serial numbers. So what happens in the past, what we recognized is that one of these batches was simply, or these partly batches was simply missed and has not been uploaded. So if we detect this in the system, and please be patient with us, if this is a small batch and there's only a small part of serial numbers not uploaded, we need time to detect it. If it is a big batch, as an example, what is heavy sold in Austria, with goes over the counter 500 times a day, then we detect it really easily, really fast. If it is a small batch, be patient, as I said, we need time to analyze, so this takes 1 week, possibly 2 weeks to detect that serial numbers out of the batches are missing. Then, what we are also recognizing is that during the factory of the product, some packs are leaving the packaging line for quality reasons, whatever. So the machine itself recognizes, this serial number is not longer in my stock, delete them out of his batch, but the packs were brought to the market. So that we recognize as well. So please ensure if you take out packs out of the packaging line, don't bring them to the market or simply send the serial numbers later on to the system. What I also can state is that at AMVS, that we are not able to distinguish if a serial number is wrong. This means if the serial number is too short, maybe, if there are some parts missing in the serial number or whatever, because we do not know what serial numbers you have uploaded. So this means when you receive, as an onboarding partner, an alert, identify that the serial number is possible missing 2 digits at the end or 2 digits at the beginning of the serial number, please inform us immediately, because then we can get in direct contact with the pharmacist or the dispensing doctor or the hospital that they have an issue with their software or their hardware. So, as I said, and that is what I want to ask you for your support is, especially the serial number not found. We have not the knowledge which scheme of serial number, how you produce them. So if you detect there that there's something missing in the serial number, please inform us immediately that we can go in direct contact with the end users. Then the next thing is what we experience sometimes a lot. The pack has been decommissioned already. So could be done, could be happened by accident. As an example, a complete batch was set each pack to destroyed. Then the packs were put on the market, and every time when an end user, pharmacist, dispensing doctor, hospital, or even a wholesaler try to decommission this pack, he receives an alert. Then a batch is recalled from the system. Could also be happened by accident. These are, as you see, there is a mark on destroyed and batch recall. These processes cannot be undone. So this means if you destroy the pack, it is destroyed. It cannot be undone. If a batch is recalled, it's recalled. It cannot be undone. I think what can be undone is if you defined some serial numbers out of a batch as a free sample. There you have still 10 days time to undo this decommissioning as a free sample. And of course, if you completely withdraw the product from the market, then this product is gone. Can also not be undone. So in any case, if it is important medicine, which has to be critical impact to the patient outside in the market, get in contact with the BASG, with our Bundesamt für Sicherheits- und Gesundheitswerte, get in contact with them and discuss with them how to proceed with this batch.
So thank you, Peter and Christoph, for this. So the BASG is the National Competent Authority, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We received 2 questions for this session. The one is in regards of the shelf life. Can you please provide additional details as to the verification of the shelf life? The end user will only verify month and year. Is this what is meant by this thought? I think yes. Isn't it?
So the system will verify month and year, which is encoded in the 2-day data matrix code. Going forward, starting from this fall, checks will be done on month and year only, indeed.
But it still means that you have to print the complete expiry date on the pack. So you are not allowed to simply skip the last 2 digits. You have to print on the 6 digits of the expiry date, and as well you have to upload the 6 digits of the expiry date.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the other question is in regard of the alert management system. Will you have an alert management tool that the MAH will have access to? And we are currently experiencing that most of the markets are starting to develop their own alert management tool. Is this something you're looking into? If you are, so this is so if you plan to align with some of the other NMVOs to create an European alert management tool standard.
So I think I can answer that as well. At current, there is quite a huge initiative ongoing on European level to get a bit of standardization into the alert management systems, indeed. We are actively participating in the development, in getting this thing up and running. We believe, or I personally believe, that this will be ready at some point in the coming year, probably around the half of next year, I would guess. And until that, then we are currently discussing a bit how we can handle alarms until then, but we do not have a fixed solution in place at this stage.
No, it's also not our intention that we have alert management where OBPs can connect to it on the actual time of the national system. The alert management, what I described before, is only for us internally to analyze the alerts, to see what is the root cause of the alerts. Can we identify it automatically? If this is the case, yes, thumbs up. If we cannot identify them automatically, we have to have a deeper look in them. And so the alert management, what I talked before, is only for internal use and for statistics, of course. And to set the appropriate actions then afterwards with the onboarding partner, end users, and all the other involved parties.
But still there's the obligation to assess any level 5 alert, of course,
yes,
in cooperation between the responsible pharmaceutical company, the OBP, and the AMVS as a coordinating body here to help to clarify what's behind. So I think this is important. And in the go-live period, then of course the authority is involved, and things become more complicated then. Yeah. A question in regard of dispensing despite alerts. Are dispensers going to dispense when there is an error, I think an alert maybe? If so, how can the unit be verified if the serial number is right or wrong? So there's an alert, a serial number not known,
yeah,
the pack is dispensed.
yes.
What happens then with the alert clarification?
At the moment we are in the starting phase, so this means our NCA has put this obligation to the end user to have a look at the pack. This is as well in line with the current law in Austria. This has nothing to do with the FMD. This is a law that was long before the FMD was in place. So at the moment in the starting phase where we are now, the pharmacist or wholesaler or dispensing doctor has to check the pack if it is correct, if it is sealed. This means if the tamper-proof, everything is on it, and then he's allowed to dispense it to the patient. In the future, when the serial number is wrong, then this pack has to be put with the alertee on quarantine. As long as the onboarding partner, MAH, informs us that the serial number is possible shortened about 2 digits or whatever, then we can get in contact with the end user, say, yeah, there's a problem with your software or with your hardware. Until that, the pack is still on quarantine. And if this is fixed, then he has to rescan it again and re-dispense it, and if it then is correct, he can hand over it to the patient.
But a serial number not known can have at least 2 different causes. The one is it was not uploaded, and the second is it was read out incorrectly from the scanner. Yep. And I think the question is a little bit in this direction. There is an alert, and you get this information. You can now analyze which is the root cause here, not uploaded or read out wrongly.
Yep.
And this is an information the OBP, respectively the responsible pharmaceutical company, receives from the AMVS then, right? And then can assess.
Now, the OBP has to inform us that the serial number was not uploaded because we don't know.
Yes, yeah. Yes. If the serial number was uploaded, then it probably is a scanner issue.
It's a scanner issue, but
a software issue actually.
But he has also do as well the analyzing of the serial number, because as I said before, we do not know what is the scheme the serial numbers are built at each manufacturer. So this means one manufacturer uses the old 20 numbers what are available in the serial number, and only 10 numbers out of this are transferred from the scanner to the OBP. So the OBP has to tell us in that case as well, this serial number is too short. because we don't know it. We do not know how the serial numbers are built.
So to summarize here, indeed, this is something where AMVS is supporting. We're looking to cooperate with all of you, but in a lot of cases, the input by the industry is really needed to move us forward.
So this cooperation is then key also then to go into the starting phase, into the operations then in further detail. Okay, so thank you, Peter and Christoph, for that. I think next is Daniel again on the stage, and together with Christoph, there will be some information now about this starting phase we are in.
Exactly. So I'll briefly talk you through the evolution and where we are right now. As mentioned before, the system got active, or the legislation got active on 9th of February 2019. Austria decided to have a stabilization phase here, which lasted a year. We were able to clean up a lot of things already in the stabilization phase. However, we felt, or the MVO actually felt, that it's not yet time to go to a fully fledged mode of the system. And we continued with the start phase operation. A few things have changed for us. What is the reason for that, or what are we still trying to do here? Recognizing process and handling errors is obviously high on the agenda, and optimization of implemented processes, or getting processes up and running properly, is also quite crucial here. As Peter said before, a lot of analysis and categorization is done by us, and we're still at a stage here in start phase operations where it's the pharmacist or the doctor who has the decision to distribute the pack in case an alert is popping up. What has changed a bit, or what has been one aim of the start phase operation, is that duties need to be followed, and there is much more interest also by our NCA that all these duties are followed starting from 9th of February 2020. So all end users, but also OBPs, responsible pharmaceutical companies in Austria, and MEHs are asked to follow the rules which are laid out by FMD. And there is now the possibility to provide sanctions as well by the respective competent bodies. Start phase operation is evaluated quite frequently, on a frequent basis, by the representative of AMVO, us in AMVS, but also of the NCA, of BASC. We have already reached our first target figures, and therefore the next steps of implementation will start in autumn 2020. We're currently working on preparing them. Implementation will start in the fall. We have put here for your reference also the related documents signed by the National Competent Authority regarding start phase operations, how things are supposed to be done during that phase, for your reference here on the slides. And with that, I think Daniel will briefly talk to us about what's going to happen in case of a potential incident.
Yes. So as Christoph mentioned, what he just showed, the start phase operation, that is the current situation. Nevertheless, there are already thoughts about what will happen afterwards. Actually, these thoughts were already done before go live of the system in February 2019, and the document was created on this case of potential incident of falsification. However, this document so far was always overruled by first the stabilization period and now the start phase. However, it's already there, and everyone can prepare on that what will happen someday. What we also can say is that we already have gained some experience, of course, on the system, and before this guidance will become effective, means before the start phase operation will end, this document will be revised, and there will be a version 2 where some of the experiences so far will be implemented. However, the key messages will not change. And this is again what our authority addresses in the letter we have already mentioned today 2 times. The proactive cooperation with AMVS. This is requested already now, and it will be requested even more once the start phase operations is over. What does this mean? If you look into the documents, you will see that the upper part of this slide is more or less the same in both of the documents. The industry is asked to analyze alerts, all incoming alerts, all incoming error messages. You have to look if the packs were serialized correctly, if all the pack details have been uploaded completely and reported correctly to the AMVS and so later on to the Austrian system, and is there any process error or operator error so far as you can see this. Coming back to the example that was discussed before, serial number not found, what is the current big challenge regarding the industry, and this issue of missing serial numbers affects almost every OBP we see so far. So almost every OBP causes alerts that single serial numbers out of uploaded batches are missing. Then you have to look at the serial number that was requested by the end user. Is this a serial number that you have created? Is this a serial number that is in line with your system? If that's the fact, then it obviously was not uploaded. If it's not the fact, then it would be great if you tell us what's wrong with that serial number. Is it too long? Is it too short? Is something missing, or has something been added to this? The difference between now and the future is where you have to report this root cause. Currently, you have to report it only to us. Best thing is to our office email address, because they are all responsible people can have a look at it. Later on, you will have to report it to again to us and also to the Austrian authority. You have the email address here. BASG, also Serialisierung, that means serialization in German, at BASG-GW.at. The same thing has to be done by the end user. So what the Austrian authority expects is to get one email on the alert from the end user saying, I created this alert, and this is the root cause the end user estimates, and the same the authority expects from the industry. So, and then if these 2 emails have been received, then they can align them, they can see if the result is the same, if the root cause is the same, and then they can decide on what happens. The Austrian authority expects within 3 working days to get back the rationale, the root cause on the alert, and if the alert is in the responsibility of the industry, means data was missing, data was uploaded wrongly, to re-upload the data or to upload the missing data or to correct the uploaded data, all within 3 working days. Then we have the correct data in the system, and the end user can do another verification, another decommissioning, and can hand over the pack to a patient. So the BSG, after receiving these 2 emails, will inform the end user, who has the pack still on quarantine, that there is no falsification, hopefully, and what to do with this pack. So we hope that in most cases the error has been corrected and the pack can be released for supply. This, of course, will also be possible for scanning issues. So if we still will have scanner or software errors after the start phase, if they are fixed, then there will be no alert anymore for these packs and they can be dispensed. The other possibility that the BSG has is that they can say, no, the pack cannot be released anymore to the public. You have to do a complaint or whatever the reason for the error is. Or maybe the BSG can also say, I take this pack as a sample because I want to have a closer look on this. I think. No, this is my last slide. So as I said, this guidance document is already in place. It's already on our homepage. You can download it in German and English via these links. It's not yet fully in place, as we explained, but I think it's a good, the start phase operations is a good possibility to practice the provisions in this guideline. Means to see, are my processes already so good that I can rule out and correct errors within 3 working days, and it is addressed in these documents. So this is the last slide of our presentation. Yeah, I stay here, and we are open for
Any further
questions and discussion.
Okay, thank you both. There are indeed some additional questions. Let me start with a further clarification in regards of the case when the serial number is causing an alert. So the remark here is the only way the OBB can further verify is if we have a picture of the unit carton of the 2D and the human readable code.
I know in some cases it would be helpful, and you know that we know that it's sometimes requested. But if it's really the case that the serial number is missing in the system, so if you know that this serial number has been created by your I don't know, serial number creating machine, but it's not uploaded, then you won't need a picture of the pack. Of course, there are other reasons where a picture would be quite helpful. Unfortunately, currently most of the end users are dispensing without making a picture because they are allowed to. When they call us, we ask them. When they call us and have questions on alerts, we always ask them to send a picture. What we hear then most time is that's too complicated for me, I don't have time. But as Christoph already said, we have met some of the first key figures in the start phase, and we will now start to get more annoying, let's say it like this, to the end users that create a lot of alerts. So we hope that they will get more into details with the alerts and maybe also provide us with more pictures or more information on the alerts, also from this side.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, do you have any data on how many alerts in the AMVS system are caused by scanner issues versus real alerts caused by incorrect actions from the MAH, for example, not uploading the data for a batch?
I think we had a very good slide on this.
Yeah, I think we have seen it on the slide.
We have shown that before, but conceptually there are both areas are still existing. We are going in a good trend if you look at it from an industry perspective. So while we are coming from a situation where it was roughly equal, 50% end user alerts and 50% alerts raised by the industry, that has indeed shifted in the last couple of months to a larger amount of alerts raised by the end users.
Okay, is the start phase operations a national decision in Austria, done by the AMVS, or does this exist in other European countries also?
Yeah, this is certainly a national situation. Is it decided by the AMVS? That's a bit above our pay grade. No. In Austria, it was really, I have to probably give kudos to Wolfgang over there as well. So we have a very healthy relationship between all the stakeholders in the system. And that was really a joint decision by all stakeholders, also including our National Competent Authority, BASG. And we came to the conclusion as a unit that this is the right way to go forward. So, yeah, joint decision by all stakeholders.
And as you can see, all these documents, all these guidance documents always have the Austrian eagle on it, the national symbol for Austrian authority. So we do everything in strong cooperation. And that's also very important for us.
Yeah. Okay, so another question is how many days are requested for the alert justification in case there are no errors in data uploading? That means I'm not responsible for the alert as an MAH. Are there more days?
Currently, no.
No, at current, the legislation and the guidelines that we have developed or that have been developed by the NCA are not dividing here. Yeah, it's 3 days is the relevant timeline, and I guess at least after 3 days we will need some feedback from you. I guess the NCA, if you say, well, if you inform them that you need a 4th day, I don't see that becoming an issue. But they will be looking for feedback from you once we stop the start phase operations.
Okay, so there are no currently further questions in the chat. So my question on you, Christoph, when you would sum it up, what would be your one-sentence message to our industry partner here?
Thank you. Keep it simple. As I said, the whole system is really getting a benefit out of keeping things simple. We stressed before, if anyhow possible, please do not use special characters in your serial numbers. We are aware there's obligations on all sides of the spectrum, but it's really helping us decreasing alert rates, also going forward. Please get in contact with us whenever there is a need to, especially in case of alerts. We're really trying to help. My whole team is offering to support you in finding out what the issues are and why we're receiving alerts. And those would be my 2 main topics.
Okay, so I take a last question here. Any other questions can also be sent via email to the colleagues from the AMVS. But I take this one. Is there implications for the MAH or OBB if they fail to correct the issue and provide a response within 3 working days?
So at current, we're in the start phase operations. You're only replying to us in AMVS. We do not have the power to penalize you in any way, sort of form. Once we're stopping that phase, it might become a bit more tricky, given that our NCA will be involved there. And there are some thoughts on how to enforce the cooperation of the industry as well, in case of alerts after the start phase.
Okay, so thank you. So we are still on a journey. It was already a long journey in the implication of the Falsified Medicines Directive. And as it is always, the last meters are somehow painful to get rid of the last 500 out of more than 1 million transactions, 500 alerts out of more than 1 million transactions per day we see here. So this 0.45%. And I think the message here was from the whole AMVS team that good cooperation is key here, and to try to avoid whatever is avoidable, which could raise alerts on the end user side. So, saying this, I thank all the speakers for the interesting presentation. The presentations are available on the website of this streaming event, respectively, then probably on the AMVS website. I thank you, all the audience, for your active participation and the questions you raise to the speakers. And of course, I want to thank all people, all of the organizations who make this project still successful. And it is a success, and it will be a success, of course. The streaming itself will also be on the website. I think any further questions, please refer to this email address here on the last slide. And I can also announce that, of course, in the second half of the year, we will continue with information, and there will be a further information event in regards of the start phase, respectively the operation phase. Then. So thank you all, and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you very much.